Hello and welcome to Gwent. Let's have a talk about Mulligan. What is the value of a Mulligan, how many cards you should have in your Mulligan list, and how Mulligans vary from faction to faction. And last but not least, we're gonna quickly take a peek at the Mulligan archetype of the scoia'tael. So let's just get started. So we see ARACHAS, a very simple Mulligan card, and the Mulligan card is a card that you want to have in your deck rather than your hand, or you're not gonna get value from it. And for the sake of simplicity and just so we can establish some baseline, I'm gonna say that bronzes are worth a 9, silvers are worth 12, and golds are worth 15. And anything below or above that is better or worse. So if you play this as just by itself, let's just say you just play the ARACHAS and you drop the ARACHAS on the board, it might seem like you get average value bronze from it, but the thing is, Mulligan also has value, because these guys, the ARACHAS little spideys, rush out first time you consume something and you have an ARACHAS behemoth on the board, and these rush out and they provide you 3 value each and deck thinning. So as long as you mulligan them away, you're gonna get that on top of the whatever effect you were doing, probably consuming with a ransom egg, whatever. And playing them from your hand is definitely not worth it, but them rushing out from your deck is worth it. And the ARACHAS have 3 strength. And that is a number that's gonna come back all the time. That Mulligan is about, mulliganing a bronze have about 3 strength, and this is exactly the value you're gonna expect from it. But playing it from your, so if we assign 3 strength value on these guys, then we can see like every single one we included, we can just withdraw 3 from it. We can just see like you're basically like, it's like 0 because you withdraw like 3 from every single one. It's basically break even, so this is an average deck thinner card. It actually works okay in a consume deck and makes sense with a Grave Hag. This is an average deck thinner. And it's actually a very good example to start out with. There's nothing else really to talk about this, but playing it from your hand is not worth it, because if you play it from your hand, but you get out a 9, because this spider plus the other 2 spider, but your mulligans were kind of wasted. Because we need to still withdraw that 3 value from these spiders. So dropping this by -3 2 times, that would make it a 3. And we sadly spent those mulligans very poorly. So playing it from your hand is never advised, but it's an okay choice as a consume monster player. And we are starting with the monster faction because they have many types of mulligan effects, mulligan cards. Like the other one here is the Foglet, which is very similar to the ARACHAS. Also worth mentioning that these happen along something when you first consume something with the spider. So that makes them tempo a little bit. That makes them tempo actually. But NEKKER, for example, is not. You just place the NEKKER on the board, and this is something you have to place, not something that rushes out of your deck along with another action. So what's up with the Foglets? So we can see that these have 1 less power than the ARACHAS. That would put them at -1. And they also have an extra condition that they disappear when the fog is destroyed. When a fog disappears. But of course their value is that fog is still present, and you get these Foglets out multiple times. If you get them out like 2 times, then they are already like 4 value, like each 4 value, because you already got 2 first time, then you got 2 again. And if you get out them more times, then even more and more. So these Foglets can give you a lot more value than the ARACHAS if you can get them out multiple times. And again, they come out along with another action. And that is quite important when we get the other cards as well. Such as the NEKKER. Because we kept in mind that, let's just say average bronze has like a value of 9. Some are better, some are worse, but let's just say average 9. But if we play the NEKKER, and let's just assume that we never consume a damn thing, then you gotta get the NEKKER, then let's just say we played first round and we get every single one, then that's really pretty poor. And what kind of value we expect from the extra NEKKERs that come out to really make this guy break even, so to speak. Assuming we go with the 9 average value. The thing is, you will need to consume 2 times, because you get at the 5, get at the 5 NEKKER, and you get at another 5 NEKKER, and another 5 NEKKER, and considering that we are valuing the mulligans for 3 points, then that's 9 plus 5, 9 plus 3 plus 3, then the combined value of the NEKKER has to be at least 15 to call it break even. Of course, it might not be like, it might not be like 5, 5, 5, it might be like 3, 6, 6 again, something like that. That could be a thing. But you gotta make sure that you gotta consume something along with it. And NEKKER can easily worth it, but of course it can also get locked. It's a lot easier to shut down than the spider. And in an extent, it's easier to shut down than the foglet. But this is somewhat of a situational, more situational than the spider, because how do you shut down the spider? Like, the consume monster is gonna consume, at least at one point. You're not such a bastard that he's never ever gonna consume with the spider on the board. He will consume, at least at one point. So hard to shut down, but the average value, this is like a break-even mulligan card. Foglets, again, more conditional, but you can get more value out of it. And NEKKER, again, you need to get like 15-ish value from it, but if it gets locked, again, it's not amazing, not great already. So again, NEKKER, you really don't want this get locked. But it's a decent card, and if you're consuming a lot, it's clearly worth it, but this is not the only one that relies on mulligans, because the thing is, with the NEKKER, you gotta have the other 2 NEKKERs in your deck, because playing the NEKKERs from your hand is just not worth it. And the HOUND, we need to consider the HOUND strength along with the mulligan, because mulligan is a resource that we are spending on the HOUND. So we can straight up just withdraw, like just drop the HOUND to 1, because it is weaker. So practically we are doing a 1 plus 3, 1 plus a frost. And actually this is a decent card, because let's just say we are getting, we expecting 9 from a bronze card. Again, just go with that value. Then we play it as a 6, because it's a 4 plus 2 right away. Then it just keeps generating value and value. In the 4 turns, it's actually gonna be 12 value, assuming it hits for full value every single time. It's a decent unit, works okay. And 4 turns is not too crazy. And the reason why I used 4 turns as an example, because in 4 turns, like 12 value would be like 3 better than the 9. And that is where this unit would be considered break even. So this unit actually breaks even at 4 turns, because again, mulligan is a resource. But of course we can have foglets as well, which is a bit trickier, because I think is with the foglets you might only use them in 2 turns. But even 2 turns is good, but if your opponent removes them, and it's really not worth it, because they just disappear. And that's the risk in running them. Of course, you can actually get some extra value out of them. For example, you can eat them with the Vran, and that doesn't banish them. You can just eat the foglets and get them out again. Then keep doing that, and you get extra value out of the foglets. So that's actually a pretty smart way to use them. But that is still not all. And we see that the monsters are not lacking units that can gain advantage from your mulligans. Unlike some factions. I can go into the value of the bronze cards here, but this is not a full faction analysis. However, the faction does have another card. And as I said, we are going with the base value of 9, the bronze, 12, the silver, and 15, the gold. And we see the crowns. Again, when you play a silver, you expect an average value of 12. And you play this, and assuming you mulligan away the other two, you're actually getting 20. Which is pretty damn good. So, what's the deal with these guys? Well, this is pretty easy. As long as you mulligan away 2 silvers, you're actually gonna get 4 points each, which is pretty respectable. And we see right away that silvers are valued differently than bronzes. For bronzes, you get 3 value. For silvers, you get 4. And that's fair enough, because you're actually thinning your deck of more valuable cards. So I guess that's fair enough. This is a very simple example, but like I've seen some people just discuss like, oh, what about just running 2 crowns just to be crafty? But that would not worth it, would it? Because of course you're only spending 1 mulligan, but you would only get out 14 power, and that's only 2 power more than the base 12. So actually you're spending 1 mulligan on 2 power. But if you run all 3, then you're spending 2 mulligan on 8 power. And that's a big difference. Again, mulligan is a resource. And these are all the mulliganers in the monster faction that is actually in no short supply of ways to get some value. And because we established that the bronzes are 9, silvers are 12, and the golds are 15, we see that getting advantage, getting value from the mulligan right away basically means you're like improving your cards. Just every time you mulligan away a spider, you're actually getting a silver guaranteed. Because the difference between the rarities is 3 points. That's just a really rough number. However, when we get to Nilfgaard, it becomes a pretty sad situation. Because we see that the only mulliganers, cards that need to be in your deck to give you value, are the Imperial Golem that actually got nerfed from 3 to 2. But the thing is, and also only has 1 condition tied to it. So imagine the foglets. So these get out the first time first and only time you use your faction leader. But the foglets kind of do the same thing. Of course they can disappear, but they also come back every other time as well. And they work with Dagam. And we can right away see that compared to the 3 value that we are hoping to see, these are 2s. And the argument can be made, but oh, but you're getting tempo. But so do the monsters. This is tempo, this is tempo, this is tempo because it happens along an effect. This is not a tempo. It might later become tempo, but no, when the first time you play the NEKKER, it is not tempo. And the crones are kind of tempo as well. But Nilfgaard is just... what is this? I know some people like expressed concerns that, oh my god, Imperial Golems are awesome. But are they awesome? They were nerfed at a time. Nilfgaard was pretty strong. But are these guys deserve to be 2s? Because currently their effect is only tied to 1 condition, and they only give you subpar value, and running them is just not worth it, unfortunately. Of course, you still want to get some value out of your mulligans, but I'm just saying the point that you can get a lot of value out of your mulligans, even if we are considering the base value of the mulligan to be a 3. These guys are lackluster. And many of the leaders, actually, basically all leaders, don't just want to like open up with just your faction ability right away. Just leader ability right away. And if you don't use up these guys right away, then it's gonna be even more riskier. Because you can just end up drawing them. And later you have to rely on your 1 mulligan per round to try to get rid of them. And how many mulliganers you should actually have? Actually, it should be more like a 5. 5 to 6 is the cards you should have on your mulligan list. 4 if you're just wanna be really safe, but realistically you can have a 5. I think 5 is the sweet spot. 6 is the hoping to get lucky range, but that's still not too bad. 7, don't do that. That's just crazy. Because you get 3 mulligans at the start of the game. The chance that you draw into like a lot of cards that you want to mulligan away, like if you're using 5, the chance that you can get rid of at least 3 is not a problem. Also, you might be able to get rid of 1 more, or even actually you can get rid of every single one in the game, guaranteed, because you get 5 mulligans. Even worst case scenario, you will be able to get rid of every single one. That's not guaranteed if you run 6, and if you're running 7, well, RNG gods may bless you. Imperial Golem, unfortunately, sucks. And the thing is with the Nilfgaard, they can't really get value out of mulligans. ALBA PIKEMAN, okay. Now this is again not a tempo unit by any means. You play the Pikeman, you expect 9 value from it, but it doesn't give you that. At the end of everything, it gives you 15 value. Again, you spend 2 mulligans, because the ALBA Pikemen need to be in your deck. And ultimately you get 15 value. So we draw so it's 9 plus 6. So this is nothing spectacular. Also takes a long time to work. And it is just pretty bad. Also, if you get out 1 pikeman, you're gonna end up with a pikeman in your deck, which is never what you want. Unfortunately, these guys at best break even. But they suck. They are at best break even. Of course, Nilfgaard had some other options just to try to thin the deck, but Nilfgaard can't get value from mulligans, and that is all actually. The ALBA Pikeman and the Imperial Golem, that is all Nilfgaard has. There are no other cards that Nilfgaard can use to get value from their mulligans, and those cards are horrendously bad. They are worse than every single option the monsters have. And Nilfgaard is definitely alone in that situation, because No Realm is the king of the mulligans. Right away we see this blue stripe commandos. They give you 3 for a mulligan, but they're somewhat situational. They only come out along with guys that have the same strength. However, that is not really hard to pull off in No Realm. And you can especially get extra value out of them with the Kedvenis. Of course, that is more attributed to the Kedveni, that buffing them up, but it's still a nice combo. So you get like at least 3 value out of your mulligan with the Blue Stripes Commandos. And these guys, the Temerian Infantrymen, are definitely not worth it. Think of them like ARACHAS behemoths. No, just little spider, ARACHAS. They are basically identical to the ARACHAS, and playing them for a 9 would never worth it. But along with the Kedveni Sergeants, they actually buff up quite a bit, and it's not a bad combo at all. Again, we have to consider Kedveni Sergeants' influence in their effect. But we actually have a lot of units in the Northern Realm. Such as ARACHAS, basically like a Vault and Hound. I don't think this needs to be talked about. It's basically a Vault and Hound that can play any better. So just straight up better Vault and Hound. ARACHAS is okay. It's definitely a decent mulliganer. And we see done better like cavalry, which is more situational, but the effect is extremely strong. We see right away that you actually get 4 for a mulligan, and the only condition is that they actually get out when your opponent has more than 20 power at any point in the round. And actually many times it's used with a spy just to guarantee that your opponent has more than 20 power. And but actually many times your opponent just like cannot avoid having more than 20 power, and even if he's smart about it and tries to have less than 20 power, Northern Realm often has a 20 plus finisher, so if they try to do that they lose. So your opponent is forced to play into it. That's what I'm saying. And they are especially deadly with the Cadvany Sergeants. These guys can be buffed to 6, 7, 10, maybe even more than that. But thing is, like, realistic is more like a 6-7 range. But even like that, it's just insane. And these guys are extremely deadly. But even if you consider them by themselves, you can just throw a Tailor, 11-point spy, and you trigger these guys, and you get 12 value. And you actually played a +1 power spy. And that's just something that the devs might want to think about. Who knows? But I don't know. These guys are okay, I guess. But I wouldn't mind seeing them at the 3. Because currently they are kind of questionable. I guess even at the 3 they would be basically the same with the Cadvany Sergeants like they are right now. I don't know. I'm just really find this troublesome. These are the cards that are carrying Northern Realm basically right now, because you get such an extreme power from them. But that is not the only thing. Well, these are just the bronzes, and we see that the Northern Realm is really not struggling for power. That is why we see the like 25 plus Northern Realm decks, is because their mulligan cards are just extremely good, and they can get a lot of value out of them. Anyhow, we see the silvers as well. Unfortunately, when it comes to the silvers, Northern Realm is not in an excellent spot by any means. Botchling gets out Mulligan and buffs it up. So combined they're like a 15. Of course, if you put back NEKKER, meh. You can put back the Botchling with NEKKER, something like that. I don't know. It's really not worth it. If we again consider that we want like 12 value out of the silver, and we like 3 value from the Mulligan, you get overall 15 value. Botchling Mulligan, is it worth the fuss? No, never. Anyhow, and we also got Vess. And Vess is, again, we saw that you get like 4 power for a silver Mulligan. We see that Vess offers a 7, but it's more situational one. You actually have to complete a trio. And currently there are no good trios. Vess could be a popular card in a different time, but not right now. And shitty trios unfortunately don't make her good. But if the trios become a thing, Vess is gonna become a card just to look out for, because you only need to play 3 guys. 3 guys to trigger a 7-point that chick that you need to mulligan away. It's kind of like a little bit better than Ali Ran. And when it comes to scoia'tael, they actually don't have great options either. You see right away the ELVEN Wardancer, which again enforces, which just kind of points out that you get 3 points for a mulligan when you mulligan 8 bronzes. When you mulligan this unit, play it from your deck immediately. Pretty damn simple. And the scoia'tael actually has a mulligan archetype, but it does struggle with the mulligan synergy, which is just pretty dumb. You have this as a mulligan synergy, and that's it. Anyway, you have the blue mounted commandos. Pretty straightforward unit. Again, you expect at least 15 power from this unit, considering that you need to mulligan it away, but you only get 9. But it has like extra thing, like whenever this unit is moved, boosted by 2. Play all blue mounted commandos from your deck. Yeah, can you really consider this unit okay? I don't know, playing it by itself, never moving it, it's clearly not worth it. Is it worth it for the move synergy? I would say not. Up to you, this unit is just pretty damn bad. And that is all. That is all you can get from the mulligan synergy. There's no other cards you can mulligan away for value. There's a card that mulligans cards, and we see that mulligan is worth a 10. Actually, mulligan is worth a 3. Kind of. But he's like 7 strength, and there are no really cards to mulligan away. So that's kind of tricky. And when it comes to silvers, we see that we have ALBA, which is pretty respectable. It's a 6 instead of a 4. But it's more situational. You have to have 5 or more alpha allies to play this unit from your deck. Okay, I think this card is like very fair. Because the effect is not that easy to pull off. But in a dedicated deck, it should happen. You really need to build your deck towards it. And you're almost like committing to like a full elf deck. Just to make sure that ALBA gets out. And the only other one, and the only gold card in the game that comes out from your deck, only gold mulligan, is Saskia. And look at this. We get 7 strength for a gold mulligan. I'm not so sure how much value should be considered baseline, but considering that she has no comparison, we might as well put a gold mulligan at the 7. But of course, orders is maybe a more situational one, because it only happens when you play your leader. And we see right away that Nilfgaard gets 2 value for every bronze they mulligan away. But scoia'tael gets 7 for the gold they mulligan away. And that's just... how does that add up? Because the thing is, golds are not that much stronger. Like, at very best, I would expect like a 5 from this. If this Saskia was a 5 and the golems were a 3, it would make sense. But the golems are 2 and Saskia is a 7. That doesn't really make sense. Currently she's an auto-include. And she's one of the cards that you just want to mulligan away. And scoia'tael is struggling to get mulligan value, because there's not many cards you can mulligan away. You can mulligan away ALBA if you have her. You can mulligan away Saskia. And you can mulligan away the War Dancers. But that is only the mulligan deck, basically. And any other deck can't really get mulligan value. Of course, you not necessarily have to get mulligan value, but you can get value from the mulligans. Because the thing is, like, it would be, for example, some do use the ELVEN Mercenary a little bit like a mulligan card, because you might want to have like specific cards to draw into, and let's just say like you had like 3 Thunderbolt potions in your deck, and every time you get a Thunderbolt potion, you just send it back. But that's not the right way to do it. You can just have like First Lights and Thunderbolt potions, and you're just gonna draw into like Thunderbolt potions and First Lights, but you're still gonna have Thunderbolt potions and First Light in your deck just to be used with the ELVEN Mercenary, and that's totally fine. Anyhow, let's go to Skellige. And oh boy, Skellige is again not a strong faction with the mulligans. Not by any means. And I guess that's fine. Like, we see that monsters and no realm are all about just owning it up with the mulligans. And scoia'tael a little bit dabbles, but for the most part, not really. And Skellige and Nilfgaard, not so much. Again, we see the Clandremore Shield Maidens. You expect, because you need to mulligan away 2 units, you expect 15-ish value from them, and that is exactly what you get. It's a little bit conditional, but it cannot be disrupted, so I guess that's fine. Because, yeah, they hit for 2, and you're actually gonna get 15 value overall from them. Assuming you don't hit for less damage. But they actually have an extra synergy with the X-Men. So, this is kind of fine. So, they cannot be interrupted. That's the good part. And if you're looking for any other mulligan values, and you have the Pirate, which is by itself alone, right away, has less power than a Bronze should have. And also relies on mulligans. So we can easily drop this guy to 0 instead of a 15. But is discarding 2 guys worth it? That is up for you to decide. This is definitely not a power play by any means. But if you think you can get some discard synergy from him, I guess it could be okay. You definitely should be only considered in a very discard heavy deck. Not just like, hey, I want some mulligans. Nah. So, of course, we have the neutral mulligans as well. And that is actually a very small selection. We have Roach, which only comes out with a gold plate. Whenever a gold unit play from your hand. Random. That's actually a thing that I think they changed. Like, gold unit, just gold unit. I believe that's how it worked. And now it's played from hand. And again, we see that you actually get 4 power for a silver mulligan. Just like the Crones. This is a neutral. And I guess that's fine. But we actually see that the Witchers are neutral as well. However, their value is lower. We see that the Witchers combined worth 17. Again, let's just say you expect like 12-ish from a silver. And we only get 17 after spending 2 mulligans for them. So you get 5 value for 2 mulligans. That comes to 2.5. And you expect about 4. So if these were about these were just about just like the Crones, you would say like, okay, that's fair enough. And of course the argument can be made, but these are neutrals. However, currently they are not used in any deck other than possibly the Nor Realms and as win condition, because it can still be used as something you just like explosive finisher, so to speak. But if you like, I don't know, like dropping them to 2.5 for mulligan, is it really worth it? I don't know. It's definitely not used in many decks, and that is for a good reason for that. Unless you really buff them up and use it as like a finisher. For example, if you like win round 1, bleed your opponent round 2, and round 3 just comes down to 1 card versus 1 card, and you're just like, hey, I got 30 points with 1 card Witchers. What you got? Well, yeah, that hurts. So for that, they're good, but yeah, they are not that great. Obviously, they have the tempo, but they are not very efficient by any means. And that's actually all. Those are all the mulligan cards. I thought this was a cool topic to really bring up, even if it's a little bit confusing one. And we see that, funnily enough, we actually saw Francesca on the loading screen, and that is exactly where we're heading to talk about bloody Francesca. And her ability is that she mulligans up to 3 cards. Again, we see that, well, we talked about that mulligan has about value of 3-ish if you mulligan away the bronzes. So that puts her about at a 15-point leader. But can we really get value from those bloody mulligans? Well, the Mulligan Madness deck is actually kinda tries to do that. Because we need to mulligan away the War Lancers, Aliran, we can also mulligan away Aquis for value, we mulligan away Roach, we mulligan away the Witchers, we mulligan away Saskia, and we actually try to get extra value with the Neophytes. That way we actually can justify running these officers in a way, and that actually helps with the win condition, the Breed Vanguards. I do want to see like stronger mulligan options for scoia'tael, because currently they are suffering. Even like, and that's just extremely limiting how you build your deck. This is okay, this is an okay deck, and you can definitely do alright with it. But you need to use many neutral options, and the thing is, neutral options are only silver. And I want to see at least like few bronzes and actually some silvers. And if this was like, if we had some silver mulligan silver ways to get mulligan value in scoia'tael, and also some kind of a mulligan gold, that would be good, because we see that I'm using Igni, Siri, which something that we can also mulligan away for value after we played it, and Geraldard. It becomes beyond obvious. Also, 4 neutral silvers, actually 5 neutral silvers, and 3 neutral golds. It just shows beyond any question that they did not think about this mulligan archetype that much, and they need to work on it. But yeah, mulligan is a cool concept, and I don't think it's like properly utilized in some decks, and or just thought about the right way. Of course, this is just kind of how I think about it. I'm definitely not just started to think about it like right away, but you want to like inch out every advantage you can have, and you don't want to let those mulligan that mulligan value to waste, because you can get like 15ish points from the mulligans, and that could be the difference between winning and losing. Anyway guys, that's it for now. Tell me what you think, I would love to hear it, and see you guys next time. Have a good one.